You still defend your parents even knowing they hurt you deeply. If you just felt a knot in your throat, it means you're trapped in what Carl Jung called toxic loyalty. Jung discovered that there's a specific awakening that every child of a narcissist needs to have, and that's what will free you today. And it doesn't stop there. You still feel guilt when you question them, don't you? You still hear that voice in your head saying, "They did the best they could," or, "At least you had a roof and food." How many times have you caught yourself defending behaviors you would never accept from a stranger? Carl Jung observed something disturbing. The people who hurt us the most are precisely those we can justify most easily. And there's a deep psychological reason for this to happen, specifically with children of narcissists. If you're feeling uncomfortable now, it's because your psyche is recognizing a truth you've been trying to avoid. Jung would say that this resistance is exactly the sign that you're ready for the most important awakening of your life. Carl Jung discovered something that 95% of therapists don't know about the dynamics between narcissistic parents and children. He called this pathological family complex, an unconscious programming that makes us protect our tormentors. Here's the shocking truth. Narcissistic parents don't create children. They create extensions of themselves. From the cradle, you were trained to prioritize their emotional needs above your own. This isn't love, it's psychological colonization. Jung explained that when a child depends on narcissistic parents to survive, they develop what he called protective false self. Basically, you learn to be who they needed you to be and not who you really were. The result? You grew up believing that questioning your parents is ingratitude, when actually questioning is the first sign that your true personality is trying to emerge. This isn't ingratitude, it's psychological survival. Jung would say that your resistance to accepting the reality about your parents is actually your psyche trying to protect the illusion that you had a functional family. But here's the crucial difference Jung identified. There's an abysmal difference between imperfect parents and narcissistic parents. Imperfect parents make mistakes, but they recognize, apologize, and try to repair. Narcissistic parents make mistakes, deny, blame you, and still make you feel guilty for questioning. If you're hearing this and thinking, "But they loved me in their way," Jung would tell you, love is not possession, control, or emotional manipulation. What you received was an imitation of love conditioned on your submissive behavior. Now I'm going to show you the awakening that Carl Jung considered essential for every child of a narcissist. But I need to warn you, once you see, you can no longer unsee. Are you prepared for this? Jung believed that there are moments in life where we're forced to choose between our mental sanity and our family loyalty. For children of narcissists, this moment is inevitable. The question isn't if it will happen, but when you'll have the courage to face it. If you're feeling that someone finally understands your internal struggle, you're not alone. Thousands of children of narcissists have found this awakening community. If this makes sense to you, help me by subscribing to the channel. This is how more people like you discover these truths that Jung left for us. Here's the awakening that Carl Jung considered fundamental. You are not responsible for your parents' feelings, but they made you believe you are. Jung observed that narcissistic parents create what he called pathological role reversal. Since childhood, you were trained to be their emotional regulator. When your mother was irritated, you felt it was your responsibility to cheer her up. When your father was angry, you felt you had done something wrong. This created in you what Jung called savior complex. You learned that your value as a person was directly linked to your ability to keep your parents emotionally stable. But here's the liberating truth. A child should never be responsible for the parent's emotional well-being. This is a complete reversal of nature. Parents should be the emotional safe harbor for children, not the other way around. If you're thinking, "But I was a difficult child," Stop. Jung would say there are no difficult children. There are only children reacting to difficult environments. Your difficulty was your psyche trying to protect itself from a toxic dynamic. The phases of awakening. Jung identified that the awakening of children of narcissists happens in 5 specific phases, and it's crucial you understand which one you're in. Phase 1. Denial. They did the best they could. In this phase, you still protect your parents from any criticism. You rationalize abusive behaviors and blame yourself for being too sensitive. Jung would say, this is your psyche trying to maintain the illusion of family security. Phase 2. Anger. How could they do this to me? Here you begin to see the patterns, but anger can be overwhelming. Jung warned that many children of narcissists get stuck in this phase because they feel guilty for feeling anger toward their parents. Phase 3. Bargaining. Maybe if I change, they'll love me. You try to fix the relationship by being even more perfect. Jung observed that this is the most dangerous phase because you go back to sacrificing yourself for your parents. Phase 4. Depression. I never had real parents. The grief for the family you never had. Jung said this phase is necessary, but many try to avoid it by returning to denial. Phase 5. Acceptance. I can heal independently of them. Here you understand you can be happy without their approval. Jung called this true individuation. Most people get stuck between phases 1 and 3 in an infinite cycle of hope and disappointment. Carl Jung developed a specific technique to help children of narcissists accelerate this awakening. He called it conscious individuation, the process of separating your voice from their voice in your head. Here's how it works. Step 1. Identify the voice of the internal critic. When you criticize yourself, ask, is this my voice or is it my parents' voice? Jung discovered that 90% of our self-criticisms are echoes of the criticisms we received in childhood. Step 2. Question the family. Truths. Narcissistic parents implant truths in you. You're too sensitive. You never finish what you start. You're ungrateful. Jung would say, question everything they said about you. Step 3. Recover your memories. Narcissists rewrite family history. Jung advised his patients to write their memories without censorship, because your version of events is valid, even if your family denies it. Step 4. Recognize your true feelings. Children of narcissists learn to suppress inconvenient emotion. Jung said, if you feel it, it's real. Don't let anyone tell you you're exaggerating. Jung's practical exercise. Every time you catch yourself defending your parents, ask, am I defending a behavior or defending my need to have normal parents? The difference is liberating. Guilt is the biggest obstacle in the awakening of children of narcissists. Jung understood that you were programmed to feel guilt whenever you prioritized your own needs. Here's what Jung would say about this guilt. You're not ungrateful, you're saving yourself. Honoring your parents doesn't mean sacrificing yourself for them. Jung made a crucial distinction. Respecting someone is not the same as accepting abuse. You can have gratitude for them being alive without accepting that they mistreat you. Family pressure will come. Other family members will call you ungrateful, dramatic, or problematic. Jung said, this is just the family system trying to pull you back to the role of scapegoat. Remember, your function in the family wasn't to be a child. It was to be the emotional regulator of dysfunctional adults. When you stop exercising this function, the system collapses, and they'll try to force you back. After the awakening, Jung advised 3 fundamental actions. Establish clear boundaries. You have the right to say no without explanations. Jung said children of narcissists need to relearn that no is a complete sentence. Rebuild your identity. Ask yourself, who am I when I'm not trying to please my parents? Jung called this finding your true self. Prepare for possible confrontation. Narcissists don't accept boundaries peacefully. Jung warned that they may intensify manipulation when they realize they're losing control over you. The awakening isn't the end of the journey, it's the beginning. Jung said true healing happens when you can be happy independently of their approval. This awakening you're having isn't coincidence. Carl Jung would say it's your psyche screaming for freedom. Your soul is asking you to stop sacrificing yourself for people who see you as an extension of them. In the comments, tell me, what was the moment you realized your parents weren't who you thought they were? Your story can help another child of a narcissist awaken too. Remember, you didn't choose to be born into this family, but you can choose how to live the rest of your life. Jung believed our greatest responsibility is to our own mental sanity, not to the fantasy of a perfect family. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready for this awakening. The truth hurts, but lies kill slowly. Choose the pain of truth, because on the other side of it is your freedom. But there's something more that Carl Jung discovered about children of narcissists that will surprise you. He observed that people who went through this experience develop unique psychological superpowers. You have an extraordinary ability to read people, to detect manipulation from miles away, to feel when something isn't right in an environment. Jung called this informed traumatic intuition, an ability developed to survive in a toxic environment. You can feel when someone is being fake because you were forced to decode your parents' moods to protect yourself. You have deep empathy because you know pain firsthand. You have resilience because you survived what should have destroyed you. Jung said that children of narcissists, once healed, become the most conscious, most authentic, and most compassionate adults in society. Because you know what it's like to live a lie, you value truth like few others. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's a gift. Your ability to question isn't rebellion, it's wisdom. Your need for authenticity isn't a demand, it's evolution. What your parents tried to destroy in you, your individuality, your voice, your ability to question, are exactly the aspects that will make you an exceptional human being. Jung believed there are no accidents in the psyche. You weren't born into this family by chance. You came to break a generational cycle of trauma, to be the ancestor that future generations will thank. When you heal, you're not just saving yourself. You're saving your children, your grandchildren, people who haven't even been born yet. You're rewriting family history forever. So, the next time you feel guilty for questioning your parents, remember, you're not betraying your family, you're saving your lineage. And if you're wondering if it's worth going through all this painful process of awakening, Jung would answer, the question isn't whether it's worth it. The question is, can you live one more day pretending none of this happened? Your soul already knows the answer. Now it's time for your conscious mind to accept what your heart always knew. You deserve true love, genuine respect, and a life where your voice matters. The awakening is painful, but on the other side of it is the most powerful version of yourself. A version that your narcissistic parents tried to prevent from existing, but that Jung knew was inevitable. Because truth always finds a way, and you are the truth that your family tried to hide.